Welcome everyone to season 6 of the Runners Roundtable, where this season we are exploring favorite running memories that are beyond pace, beyond the numbers, and that really tap into the guest that's on the show and their relationship with running. And I'm really excited to have Jillian Reyna here with me today. We're going to talk about running. But first, I just want to say real quick, Jillian, thank you so much for giving me the space before we started recording to just share what's been on my heart today. And I will say motherhood is really, really, really hard. And Jillian, we were talking about the different spectrums of motherhood that we're on. You're on that newer side of motherhood where I'm in a different kind of trench. You are in the new trenches. I am in the teen trenches, and it's really, really challenging. But I can say I'm so glad I got my run in this morning because I feel like it definitely prepared me for what this day had coming my way. And I am really excited about this conversation because I know we're going to get into motherhood and how that kind of weaves into your story as a running and as a runner. And eventually I'm going to ask you about how motherhood has impacted your run coaching and your approach to working with athletes. But first, I want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself to us and to tell us a little bit about your running story. So this is a 3-part question. It's what's your name? What's your running story? And what is your current relationship with running?
Okay. Well, thank you, Stephanie, for the introduction and for having me on the show. Excited to chat today. And love that we could connect over motherhood. It is it's a challenge every single day, but moms have to stick together, and that's what we're doing. So, one day at a time, right?
Yep.
So I'm Jillian, and my running story. I started running in high school. Started when I was a freshman in high school. So I grew up a gymnast and a cheerleader and never really thought I would be a runner. And I joined the track team to try pole vault because typically gymnasts can be good pole vaulters. My high school had a lot of pole vaulters. And so they said, hey, why don't we just go throw you in the sprinter group, and like they do when they don't know what to do with people. So I got put in that group. I was not very fast. So got to the 400 meter group because nobody wants to do that. I feel like you're either doing the 100 or 200 or you're in distance. And anyway, first meet comes around. I was pretty decent at the 400. So ran that all season and then started to go into the 800. And then long story short, joined with the cross country team and ran the next year with cross country and then fell in love with it. Ran in college and then found marathons and half marathons post collegiate. And here I am today and still doing it all. So I found it, I guess, compared to most people, I would say early in life, because I feel like a lot of us don't find it until we are adults. But a lot of my teammates started when they were in early middle school. So compared to, I guess, like in the middle school, high school range, I was like a late bloomer of running. But it was really nice to not have almost that like prior history and that prior expectation. I just came in and just was like, this is cool. This is fun. Let's see how fast I can go. And it was really cool. So my relationship with running now, it has evolved so much from when I started. And then even my college days, I think about sometimes when I was doing it more so with my, I don't want to say a force under it, but like when you're doing it on a team, especially in college, it feels kind of like a job at times, a job that I absolutely loved and chose to do. But, I didn't have the option to sit out practice if I didn't want to do it that day.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And anyway, I can remember some of those days, like it was just like, gosh, let's go find a park that will distract us from getting these miles done. And it was like any way that we could get it done. And now it's like, oh, I cannot wait to go out for a run. And I don't even care where I'm running. I just can't wait to go clear my head. So I would say my relationship with running now is probably the best that it's ever been. It is just it is my me time, especially as a mother. It is my like hour a day that I get to just, I can listen to music. I can listen to nothing. I can listen to a podcast, like it's my time and I just love it so much and it helps me so much.
Were you able to run through pregnancy? And just my brain is always so curious about that postpartum period.
Yeah.
And I ask that especially because you've been running since high school. So I'm going to assume you ran through pregnancy. And I find that one of the hardest, or I guess maybe the most like tender points in a runner's life is after a big transition like that, because you want to go back to who you were before and maybe you rush it. How was that period of life for you?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So my first pregnancy, I was the fittest I had ever been. I was like peak marathon shape, peak half marathon shape, and then we got pregnant. And then I ran through I think I ran through like 26 weeks of the first pregnancy, and got to a point where it was just not comfortable anymore. So I stopped, and then switched to just walking and some strength training that I was able to do. I had qualified for the New York City Marathon and the Boston Marathon prior to that pregnancy. So I knew that as soon as I gave birth and was able to come back, I wanted to come back as soon as I could because I wanted to do those races. And 6-week mark, I was like, all right, I got the clearance, let's go. And that was, I mean, any mom that is out there is probably like rolling their eyes at me like, oh no, oh no. And so, I tried, and my body threw up so many like signs at me, like you should stop. But I just kept trying. I kept pushing. And I ended up having to defer New York City a year, because it was literally like 4 months on the dot from when I gave birth, which is like very unrealistic. But I wanted to give it a shot and try. I was able to do Boston. That it was 9 months after I gave birth. So that was cool to be able to run that and say, like, I did that 9 months postpartum. And then I did New York the following year. My second pregnancy, I ran through, I think, about 30 weeks. So I was able to make it a little bit longer. I approached running through pregnancy a lot smarter. I did a lot more of like run walk intervals, slowed down my pace, didn't have like a set distance I wanted to go. It was more of a get out and move my body. And then my postpartum, this time, I waited 6 months to run, because I learned my lesson after the first time, for various different reasons. But number one, like I still get pelvic pain from when I came back too early after the first time. Pelvic floor therapy has been my best friend. It's, I've done a lot of like the work that needed to be done, but I still feel like I may have done some damage that I'm going to deal with for a long time from coming back too fast. The second is, you just don't know until you know how fast the newborn period goes. And like this second time around, I was like, I don't want to waste the time of like having the baby nap on my chest. Like, I don't want to be like going out and like trying to chase a run and when I could be having her nap on my chest. Because guess what? She's 8 months now and she doesn't nap on my chest anymore, And it's like, why am I like rushing back? Like, I don't mean to say what's the point, but it's like, what's the priority right now? I'm never getting this back. My baby is never going to be this small again. And so I really just tried to channel like that during this postpartum period. And I'm so grateful I did. And now that I am back running, it's crazy. I actually feel stronger this time around, I feel like, than I did and just in fitter in general than I did the first time. And I took way more time off. So definitely a different approach. And even coming back to running this time too, I'm doing run walk intervals still. And I'm just approaching it with such a different lens and such a different approach. And it feels a lot better to not have the pressure. And so it's been going good.
Okay. I have a question I want to ask, but I want to ask another question first. So this
Okay.
is like order priorities here.
Sure.
What are your thoughts? And I have a feeling I know what they are going to be, but I'm just curious. What are your thoughts on all the not all of them, but a lot of races updating their their deferral process for pregnant and postpartum runners because it's come a long way. And I'm just curious what your thoughts on seeing more races have the ability to defer because of pregnancy in that postpartum period.
Yeah, I think it's so important and um, it's so necessary because I think that if a race doesn't have that, especially like the big qualifier races, if it's just, your local race that you could, yeah, you might lose money, which is unfortunate, but like you can get into it again next year. Okay, a little bit different. But the big qualifier races that people like work tirelessly to get into, and then if they aren't given that opportunity to defer, then they're going to do unsafe things, in my personal opinion. And I was like one of them. I didn't know if I could defer with New York City at first. So that's why I was like, well, I'm going to try. But your body, like, although maybe like, because so I had a C-section with both. So although maybe that scar is closed, it is
Mhm.
not closed internally. Like that is, we know that that's just not how it goes. It's not that
Yeah.
fast. I mean, look at any other surgery. Like if I had an MCL repair, would I have been running a marathon like 4 months later? Probably not. Like the doctors probably would have told me no. And so I mean, there's so much work to be done in the women's space in general, from even from the doctor's perspective, like telling us like a better care plan to come back. But going back to your question with the races and their pregnancy and postpartum policies, yes, I think it's so important. I'm so glad that there's been good progress made. I think there's still a lot of progress to be made. I think even like, a lot of them, it's just like you can defer 1 year, but I think it really should be like 2 years because even 1 year is sometimes not enough. If we think about how long it takes to have a baby, I think it should be that much time, at least postpartum, until you really start to like consider, all right, what can I do again? Because yeah, there's just so much involved. So I'm glad that the races are moving in that direction. Super important.
Yeah, which is so interesting that you mentioned the deferral timeline because it's really not that hard for them to do that, right? Like I remember I was signed up for the Marine Corps Marathon in 2020, and what they offered everybody was a 3-year deferral policy. And I remember in 2021 getting the email saying, hey, you have a deferral for this race. Click this link if you want to use it. I didn't because I was like, nope. 2022, same thing. Another email saying, hey, you have a deferral for the 2020 race. Here is the link. Click it if you want to do it. 2023, that was the final year. And the email was like, if you don't use it, it's gone. And I was like, shit, well, I guess I got to run the Marine Corps Marathon this year. So it's really not that hard. And I mean, that is a big race when we're talking about the number of participants in that race. So just hearing what you're saying, it's like it really isn't, especially when you're thinking about, I don't know how it was for you in your pregnancies, but I remember after my girls were born, I felt like I was going through puberty all over again. My body felt so foreign to me that
Mm-hmm.
moving in it felt weird. It took me personally about a year after each birth to feel at home in
Yep.
my own body. So to think that you only have a year that you can only defer, especially if you're thinking about, let's just imagine the person who's, 5 months pregnant and you're saying that they can defer for 5 months pregnant when it's race day and that you have 4 more months, which means you're going to have 8 months to train for like, I'm like, how? I mean, I know people do it. I know
Yeah.
people do it. I think the question is just, do you have to do it? Right. And your experiences, I love that you had those two different experiences, which
Yeah.
brings me to the question that I did want to ask now. Like the real question I wanted to ask is, when did you become a run coach? And I want to kind of place the run coaching bit in relationship to these pregnancies because I'm like, wait, so what was your understanding of running
Mm-hmm.
coming back to running as a postpartum runner and like the run coaching bit? Does that question make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. So became a run coach and opened my business summer of 2022. So it was before I got pregnant. So I got pregnant with my first in October of 2022. So I had the business for a couple months. It was still relatively new. So basically during that pregnancy is when I like really built it up.
Okay.
And I actually like, it's kind of crazy because I remember thinking and saying to one of my coaches that works with me, I remember saying to her, are people going to want to be coached by me because I'm pregnant? Which is such a terrible thing, but like, it's sad because like, there's this, I feel like, I don't know, just the way people look at pregnant women. It's like, we are very, I know that this could like rub people the wrong way. Like I'm going to say we are fragile when you're pregnant, right? Like you have to be careful. However, you don't need to be put in a glass box either. Like you can still do things. Everybody is different. And that is, everyone needs to figure that out for themselves with their doctor and their, if they have a pelvic floor therapist, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I mean, I just remember thinking like, oh, people aren't going to like, they might not want to work with me because like I'm not running right now. And I then was reminded by that coach, like, hey, that doesn't change all the stuff that you've done and all the knowledge you have just because like you're not running a certain time right now. And so it kind of goes to the topic and the name of everything, like beyond pace. So with this podcast, it's like, it doesn't matter what pace I'm running. I still have the knowledge. I still have the support that I can offer. And so, yes, it's definitely changed the way that I feel like I approach athletes too. I have such a better understanding of just like more walks of life than I did when I wasn't a mother. And not saying that you have to be a parent to understand other people. But for me personally, like I hadn't gone through, experiences that could help me be there as a support for a lot of my athletes. And now I feel like I can better support, better understand and empathize, sympathize, all of those terms like that we mentioned earlier. It's made me a better coach is I guess what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I find it our knowledge, right, within running, because it's especially thinking of yourself that 2022 is when you became a run coach, but your experience with running dates back to high school. So it's always, sometimes we don't give ourselves the credit for the lived experiences we've had and how those lived experiences come into the work that we do, because we just think, oh, and I find that I do the same thing where I'm like, oh yeah, I've been coaching since 2019. And it's like, hi, you were running. Like for me, I started running in 2012. And it's like, but you were running 7 years before that. So yes, this is a date where you got this formal thing, but that's not really the date that captures everything that you've experienced. So I love that you shared that. And I also love that. That's why I'm like, I'm so curious in terms of what the run coaching philosophy was when you came back from pregnancy number 1 versus when you came back from pregnancy number 2, because to what you were saying, it's you really don't know until you try it. You really have no clue what your body's going to do or how your body's going to feel. And this is even just beyond pregnancy and postpartum. It's just living in your body sometimes. And I see it for myself as a woman, and I'm in my 40s and being like, cool, in my 40s, this is my body's starting to feel a little foreign once again. And now I'm back into this space of, all right, body, I guess I need to listen to you, and you're going to have to teach me all over again because we need to get to know each other once again. So
Right.
I love that with the run coaching. And even just want to highlight here, just want to highlight it for everyone that listens. If your run coach can take 6 months off of running after having a baby, you can take 2 weeks off of running to recover from a race, right? Like you can.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That is, oh, okay. So even before I had my kids and had pregnancy to go through and all of that, I always, always, always push my athletes to take, at least 2 weeks. I even push sometimes a month. Like personally, I have usually taken a month off of running after a marathon. And then I recommend strength training, cross training, whatever. But like Oh my gosh, that is just one of those things. I know it can be so controversial, but it's like I'm just always like, what is the rush? Like, what are we rushing? Like, I don't know. I don't understand. So thank you for also feeling that way. Like, take the time off, let your body recover. Like, we just truly do not understand at a surface level what all your body is undergoing after a big race. I mean, it is so all encompassing. It's not just, oh, my quads are sore. It's like, no, like literally, have you noticed your heart rate? It's up. Have you noticed that maybe you got sick? It's because your immune system is weakened. Like there is just so much. And yeah, you could go on and
There,
on that topic all day.
yeah, listen, I feel you. I feel you with all of that. And listen, I also struggle with that sometimes where I'm like, I think I feel okay. Like I can go for a little run. And I will say one of the gifts of aging is that I really love to rest now, where when I was in my 20s and running, I did not understand rest. Now I'm like, wait, you're telling me to rest? Okay, but you do not have to force me. You don't have to like, no, yeah, you're telling me to take a rest day and to lay in bed. Okay, I got you. I'm gonna be the best person in bed. So I get that.
Yes.
I get that. And I get how it's sometimes it feels like even though running is an individual experience, there are times where it just does feel like you're in a rat race where you're like, oh my God, but everyone else is recovered and they're back and they're doing things. And should I be back and doing things? And it's really hard to listen to your own inner experience or your own inner knowing as to, yeah, you can do it right now. But if, I mean, I'm finding comfort in your story of, but if I can take 6 months off and come back and feel even stronger, that is 100 times preferable than coming back after 6 weeks and then feeling like trash for the next 8 months, right? Like when we're looking at the time frame, it's like, where do we really want to invest that time and where do we want to put that time when it comes to our own growth? And that's, I think, a
Absolutely.
hard thing for people to get, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I think too, like, I gave the example of like wanting to be with my baby. So say somebody doesn't have kids and they had an injury or a race and they're trying to come back too soon. I also think about like when you said like you could come back earlier and feel like crap, or you could take a little more time off and let your body actually recover, rejuvenate, and then come back and feel, um, you know, good doing what you're doing. I think about most of us are not doing this professionally. This is not our livelihood. So, do you want to go about your day and do something that doesn't feel good, doesn't feel like is it bringing you joy? If you feel like garbage, does it bring you joy? Maybe getting out there and moving your body does, but like let's maybe trying another form of movement that will be more beneficial at the time. And so that's the thing, like I guess the caveat I want to give is like I didn't take full 6 months off sitting on the couch doing nothing. I was going on walks. I'm playing outside with my children, my toddler at least, and I'm lifting weights appropriately for what I'm able to do, postpartum. It wasn't like I was just sitting around. I was finding alternative methods and waiting to run until I knew my body was strong enough again. So that now, when I do choose my very precious time to go run, it actually feels good. It's not like I'm feeling like I have bricks in my feet. And, I don't feel like, oh man, I need to go see my physical therapist weekly because my body hurts. Like, because that's the other thing. Like, I don't have time for all those appointments.
Mm-mm.
And who wants to go to the doctor all the time? Who wants to spend that money? Like so it's a multi-layered thing here, but yeah, I don't know. It's helped me to just kind of show up with like I want to show up for what I'm doing with joy and I want it to bring me joy.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. And it's one of the reasons for this particular season is because I want people to expand their understanding of running. And you just gave us an example of even expanding your understanding of what movement is like, but also it is expanding what it means to be a runner because being a runner isn't just the running part. Being a runner is the cross training. It is going outside and watching your kids play, right? Because that is that joy, that is that something that's going to give back to you, that it helps you appreciate the time that you're present with your family, but then it also helps you appreciate the time when you get to be present with yourself by yourself, right? So
Mhm.
it's really about, to me, it's everything is about, can we expand what these different things mean? So with
Yes.
that idea of expansion and kind of just building on what you just shared, can you share with us your favorite, or if not a favorite, running memory?
Gosh, this is hard because there's just so many, and I've been running for a while. Um, hmm, I'm trying to think of like which one I want to, because I definitely have a few, but um, I will start with the one that, um, sorry, I'm like really thinking about where I want to start. Okay, let's start with the race that the races that I did run postpartum. So I mentioned my first child, I had that Boston Marathon and New York City Marathon qualifiers. Um, now, these are interesting to look back on because as I said, like I did them and I knowingly did not try to do the same thing again. Um, because I don't regret the races, and I mean they're great experiences. It's a memory that I'm about to share as one of my
Mhm.
favorites. So I absolutely don't regret it. However, I realize and recognize, especially adding the layer of two children, it's not the phase right now. I was able to do it then. Two is different than one. Again, I also learned maybe not how what I want to put my body through this time. But so going with again the theme of the name of this podcast, the Beyond Pace. So Boston in 2024 was the first race that I really ever raced that I wasn't concerned about what pace I ran, um, which was very different for me. I mean, being a collegiate athlete, everything is about time and place and all of that. And then, when I got into competitive long distance running for halves and fulls, I was also always trying to hit a PR. I
Mhm.
really went through a phase where I really didn't sign up for races for fun. I signed up for them for like PRing or going for my best effort. And I'm not saying that's not fun. It's just I wasn't going and like running a race just to run. Um, and so when I started training for Boston because of being postpartum and because of the pelvic pain that I mentioned previously, I had to really pull back my pace and I had to do some unconventional training methods. So I was training on the lever. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it's something you attach to your treadmill and it's like a pair of shorts and it helps reduce the body weight. So
The
I had to do
gravity.
that.
Yeah.
Yep. Um, and I was having to slow my pace down so that my stride wasn't as my gait wasn't as big, et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
So there were some different things I had to do. I didn't do any hill workouts, and Boston, as we know, is hilly. I didn't do any speed workouts. I literally just ran easy. Um, and I went to the race, and my goal was like, you need to keep it with like no faster than this pace. Just go out and have fun because the previous times I had run Boston, I was trying to chase a PR, and there were some parts of the race that I didn't get to maybe take in and remember fully because when you're chasing a PR, you are hyper focused.
Yep.
You sometimes like almost don't remember parts of the race because you're just so I was actually able to like high five the crowd and take it all in and look at just look at everything, remember the signs, like whatever. And um at the end of the race, I got to my mom and dad, like they've come to the three times I've ran Boston and they always go to the same spot. And I like was able to stop and give them a hug. My daughter and my husband were further down, so they weren't right there at that moment, but like I got to stop and see my parents and give them a hug. I wouldn't have done that if I like was trying to PR.
Yeah.
And the really cool thing was like I actually was able to run a faster pace than what I trained at, and I finished the race, exceeded my expectations, um, had such a like wonderful time. That year was actually the year that it was really hot, and most people like crashed and burned because they went out trying to run faster than they were able to. And I just went out there like on a joyride and actually like did pretty darn good, all things considered. And so that was just like such a, I don't know, like I feel like so many people walked away from that day being kind of disappointed because the weather got in the way or whatever else happened. And I was just like so thankful to be there and toe the line and then run the race, cross the finish line, see my daughter, see my husband. Like it was just, not saying it wasn't hard. It was obviously, marathons are hard no matter what pace you go. But it was just like so heartwarming that I just like, I did it, you know, like I, against all odds, like I said, my training was like not normal. It was not easy. I was doing 16-mile runs on the treadmill. Like who wants to do that? It was, you know, not something I would like to do again from a training perspective because it was kind of like sucky at times, but
Yeah.
I was just so proud that I like overcame all the things that were thrown at me. And I proved to myself, I proved to friends, family, but most importantly, like I proved to my daughter that like, hey, you can do hard things if you put your mind to it. It doesn't, and it's still impressive no matter what time you run. Like, you know, like people were proud.
Oh, hold on, y'all. Hold on. I don't know if it's me that lost internet.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. I can see you now. Yes. Was
Okay.
that me?
Okay.
Did I go out?
No, you were fine. So it must have been me. Sorry about that. Hopefully it doesn't go out again. I just turned it off on my phone. So hopefully,
Yeah. Like, let me do the same. Let me just make sure there's nothing else using Wi-Fi here.
yeah. If if I cut out again, let me know and I can always hop over to my phone if I need to.
Okay. Yeah. I'm keeping my fingers crossed right now for us. So
Okay, so what was the last thing you heard?
well, we were talking about, or you were talking about how, well, I just keep coming back to this joyride is what you called it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
You said other stuff, but I'm stuck on that joyride because of kind of like the dual meaning of it.
Mhm.
Sounds like it was a very joyful day. And that's what you were saying, that for a lot of people, because of the weather, they were perhaps disappointed in it, and that you were in many ways just happy to be there.
Yes. Yes. I was so happy to be there. It was, I mean, even like, you know, Boston's coming up in 5 days and my memories are popping up on my phone from 2 years ago. And it's like, I look and I'm like, wow, I still can't believe I did that. Like, I mean, because of where I'm at right now with my postpartum journey, I could not imagine being like getting ready to run a full marathon right now. And so it's like, wow, like, yeah, that was incredible. And I look back at pictures and it was like, I had so much fun. And I remember my first Boston, and I mean, there's various other races. It doesn't have to be Boston. But like I specifically remember my first Boston being so disappointed. Like I was so thrilled to be there. Okay, I'm getting a sign about internet connection. Can you still see me?
I see you fine. I see you.
Okay,
I can
all
hear
right.
you.
Okay, cool. I remember the first Boston just walking away from it and like I was proud and thrilled, but I was just like bummed. You know, like you know when you have that race where you're just your cup is not full and it's not overflowing and you're like you're trying to be happy but you're really just kind of bummed, and that is how I felt. And I was like, I don't want that to happen. I don't want to ruin my experience. And so yeah, I can like look back at my pictures from that 2 years ago and just think like it was just such a joyful time, like with my family, with my daughter, um, and just being able to do it, like, and be out there. Like, it was just such a gift and a wonderful opportunity. And I'm so glad I was able to do it. So yeah, just so many like happy moments from that weekend. And I look forward to hopefully going back at some point. You know, that won't be for a couple of years, but I hope I can go back and have those wonderful memories again, because it was, yeah, that is why I do this. That is why we all should do this.
I was going to say that's something that's come up it's been like a overall theme of the podcast where a lot of us are, that's what keeps us coming back to running. It's that we're chasing that feeling. We're chasing that memory once again. And it's not, yes, it's Boston is the setting, but the story that you're telling is so much bigger than Boston, right? Like the story that you're telling is about having fun. It's about trusting yourself. It's about knowing that even if you did things a little bit unconventionally, like it can still work out. And that's also really exciting to be like, you know what? This did not look like maybe how I've planned or how I've done it in the past, and yet it still worked out. So I want to take this particular memory and kind of add a little bit of layering to it. And the question I have for you is, when you think about this memory, how would you say it's shaped who you are as a runner today?
I think I've taken a lot of the pressure off of myself. I think, you know, I keep going back to collegiate athletics, but like it's it was hard to get out of the mindset of being so competitive all the time. And I'm still very competitive, don't get me wrong, but like it I just, if I didn't achieve the goal in college, it felt like I failed.
Yeah.
And like I said, I wasn't used to running races for fun. It was always for like a goal or a time or a place or whatever. And so this that scenario forced me to get out of that mindset and to just approach it with like I'm thankful to be here. And that is how I now like approach so much of my running. Because I've realized like my family and my daughter, sorry, when I say family, I'm thinking of like my parents, in
Yeah.
addition to them, my
Everybody.
daughter, but like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, when I do good or bad, when they're on the sidelines, like they are literally there and so proud because they don't run. They are just like thrilled that I made it through the race safely, smiling. That's all they want.
Yeah.
They don't care what time I run. And I've witnessed before. I will actually never forget this, and it's a memory with somebody else and not so good memory. But I remember my husband coming to a race, just a small local one, telling a friend after they finished, like, "Hey, good job, man." And he was like, "Not good job. I did not run the time I wanted." And my husband was like, I'm sorry. Like last time I tell him good job, like I literally don't even know what time you're trying to run. I'm just like, cool, you did a half marathon and I didn't." And it
Yeah.
was such a like shaping moment for me because I was like, wow, like he was just not very nice to my husband, who's just a bystander. And it's like, who am I to, like, I don't ever want to act like that, you know?
Yeah.
And so, and I also, as like a run coach, I have people looking up to me, as do you, as do any other run coaches. You have influence. And so if one of your athletes sees you at a race that maybe you didn't think was your best effort, but they come up to you and they're like, "Oh my gosh, coach, like you did so good." What if I responded and was like, "No, I didn't," or "That was awful"? How's that going to make them feel? Terrible. They might not even want to work with me as a coach anymore, you know? Um, and they also might think, how am I going to talk to them if they don't hit their goal? And it's so much more than that. Like I always challenge my athletes like to layer their goals. Like I get it. A lot of people want to achieve a time or a place or whatever. Fine. That's why I'm here. I'm here to help you do that. But if you don't get that goal, what else are you going to be proud of so that you can walk away smiling and being happy about something, and being proud of yourself? And that's something I just like really, really push with my athletes. And so I think like, yeah, again, that race, that experience, that whole training cycle, like really like working hard, is what there is to be proud of. The time really doesn't matter that much. It just
Yeah.
doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, that's something I always try to say, where it's like the time matters and then it doesn't. Because when you look back on, especially for someone like you that's been running for so long, and if you're doing a lot of races in that time, you're not necessarily going to remember all the race times that you've had. You might remember some, like there's going to be some that are really going to stand out to you. But at the end of the day, the thing that you're going to remember, the thing that you really going to take away with you is going to be how you felt or something that really stood out to you that day. And yes, the time may be that thing, but it's also not going to be the defining thing that you think it is in the moment. And I say that just as someone who's been running. For me, it's been almost 13 years, and I've done so many races in that time that I can tell you the time of my first marathon because it's the first and that stands out. I cannot tell you the time of my first half marathon, though. And that was my first half marathon. I cannot tell you that time. I can't tell you the times of the half marathons I ran 2 years ago. Like, that's just it. Even though time may have been important or it may have been something that went into consideration for me doing those races. But what I can tell you about some of those experiences, I can tell you about a half marathon that I ran, and I have a video of this because it just cracks me up where like I stopped, I thought they were giving like little shots of beer and it was actually a shot of bourbon. And I was like, wow, that is surprising. I don't remember the time of that race, but I remember the race and I remember that shot. And it's just like there's other races that are the same where I'm like, I don't remember what I did, but I remember being confused by the course or things like that. So it's really important to know that the running is bigger than that pace. And I want to thank you for those two stories because
Yeah.
I feel like that's just like that's the again a spectrum there of here is that running with joy, and the story that you shared with your husband is just running with expectation. I think is what that could be, where it's like you ran with that expectation, you didn't meet that expectation, and now you're disappointed. When it's like there's no guarantees. And I say it all the time. A start line isn't guaranteed. A finish line isn't guaranteed. There's no guaranteed in any of that. And the longer the distance, the more can happen in that distance. So I think those are two nice bookends of you can have the joy or you could potentially have the disappointment. And which is the one that you'd rather have? And I think for the majority of people, it's going to be that joy. So,
Right.
okay, I have a series of questions that are a little rapid fire-ish, may not be, we'll see. But the first question I have is if you can go back in time to talk to a younger version of your runner self, what would you say?
To not take things so seriously, to eat more carbs, and to slow down my easy runs.
I feel like that is lived experience, but also like a coach, a little bit of the coach coming through because it's like not only is it your running, but it's like also like what you see with other people too, where you're like, can we just chill and slow down? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Flipping that question around is what hopes do you have for your future runner self?
Hmm. I hope that I can get back to a routine with running where I'm able to like get back to racing. I'd love to be able to do more of like the world majors or travel races. I think it's a super cool way to see new places, and include my daughters in it with me. I hope that, they can come to the races and it be like a family event. I hope that they find joy in some sort of sport. Obviously, I would love it if it was running, but I understand if it's not. And I just want them to learn from my approach. And also just like flexibility, like I think again, I know this about myself. I tend to um hyperfixate sometimes and want things to be perfect and want to like if my workout is, you must do this, this, and this. I want to do it perfectly, exactly the way it's written. And like, that is just not reality all the time. Sometimes you have to cut it short and you're not a failure if you do that. Like life
Mhm.
happens and doing it is better, or doing most of it is better than doing none of it. And so, yeah, I just hope that I can, like I said, get back to like a regular routine where I can get into it, but have flexibility, have grace, and yeah, just include my family and make it something that like we can all be a part of.
I love that. Okay, this question is my favorite question, and it is, how do you celebrate yourself as a runner?
Ooh, how do I celebrate myself? Man,
This
I
is
don't
why
even,
it's my favorite question, because it's like everything else, like this is the one that usually stops people and they're like, wait, I actually have to, think a little bit right now.
yeah, I'm like, man, I think this is like what this makes me think of is like how do you like what do you do for self-care, right? And I feel like so many people have like different definitions of self-care. Some people think it's like a bubble bath, which like really is not a reality for most of us. Other
Mhm.
people are like, no, self-care is like drinking enough water, drinking my electrolytes, going to bed early, like whatever. And I think so. If I was answering, say it again, how do I celebrate myself as a runner?
You got it.
Okay. um I think I celebrate myself as a runner by taking care of my body in the best way that I can. So eating well, making sure I have those like regular maintenance appointments with my, chiropractor, physical therapist, so that I can show up and like be ready to do the run that I want to do. Um, and then as of like late in addition to that, I think I would just say like not doing anything stupid with training. Like, I, I mean, but I say that with like, laughing, but also like, it's easy when you get out there and you feel good to like push the pace or to want to go longer than like you had planned because you're like, oh, it's a beautiful day or I have extra time. But then sometimes that comes back and bites us in the butt. So I think that's how I celebrate like my, I don't know. I feel like I'm failing at this question a little bit, but I'm trying.
There's no
um,
right or wrong answer at all, so don't worry about it.
but yeah, just I don't know, keeping things in check, I guess, so that I can continue to show up, do what I love. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I try to go to my favorite places to run so that it's just like a positive overall experience.
Ooh, that's a good one. That one's so practical. Go to the favorite. Yeah, I think this is something I've learned throughout the season with asking this question, where it's sometimes the celebration is a quiet one, sometimes it's a solo one. And what I'm hearing you say is that the celebration really is about respecting your own boundaries around
Yes.
what you can do. And I don't want to say what you cannot do, because that's not what you're saying. It's the what you can do and like what you should do, right? It's like respecting the boundaries of respect. Like, and I'm repeating myself, but it's that the respect that you have towards yourself and towards what your body is capable of today.
Or like maybe thinking of it as like, how can I best prepare and empower myself to do what I love?
That's it. Because I'm like, it's not just today. It's the like preparing for the next date. That's it. Okay, we got it.
Yeah.
We got it now. Okay. This question is the easiest question, and it's just, can you let us know where to find you? And can you just like just quick info drop on your run coaching business too?
Yeah, absolutely. So my Instagram is at Jillian_Rise Rain. My business website is riseraintraining.com. We have a team of coaches. So I'm the lead head coach, owner and founder of the business. And then I've got three other running coaches and a dietitian, so nutrition coach. We've got one-on-one services. We've got template plans. We've got consult calls. We are virtual, but we are mainly based in Northeast Ohio. But we do have one of our coaches in California. So that is a cool kind of across the country aspect. But yeah, no, we help athletes all over. We do some community events, like I said, in the Cleveland, Northeast Ohio area, Akron area as well. But yeah, that's where to find us. We're on Instagram. We're all on Instagram, so we all have our individual pages. But would love to interact. So give us a follow. Yeah, would love to have you come on board and would love to help you. Our coaching style is very much kind of what I've talked about all day. It's about really enjoying the process. Our motto for the business is rise to the challenge, reign in the process. So we just really want our athletes to enjoy their training, not only race day. Like you said, it's a privilege to get to even the start line. So you have to enjoy what you're doing to get there. Race day is the celebration, and yeah, we love to help people break those limits and those barriers that maybe they set for themselves and realize their potential and go and get those goals. So
yeah. Okay. Final question is, what are your final words for us?
oh gosh. I think, I kind of wanted to touch on this a little bit earlier, just based on something you had said, and I think it was how you started the episode with you're thankful you got your run in this morning for what you had to deal with today. And, yesterday I had a pretty crazy day myself. I have another job as well in addition to coaching, and work was just kind of getting me down. Anyway, I went out for a run and, had my 30 to 60 minutes to myself to just listen to the nature, birds, whatever, the outside sounds, and just kind of decompress and disconnect. And I felt so much better after that run. I mean, truly just like my mood was flipped upside down. And so I think at the end of the day, there's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot going on in all of our personal lives. We all have a lot of stress and just things to worry about. But when you have that time to run or lift or cross train, whatever you're doing to move your body, take it and enjoy it, and don't try not to let those other areas that stress you out, like, leak in. Like, just use that time, protect it, and, let it give to you that joy that it can give. It's such a gift, and we have to take advantage of it.
Yeah. Jillian, thank you so much for sharing your story and sharing those final words with us, because it does connect to your memory of imagine what we can accomplish when we bring joy to it. And when we let joy be that thing that guides us, right? Like, I love what you said about like rising to it, but then also that reining it in. And how can we rein in more joy and see what's possible when that's what's illuminating the path for us, and that's what's running alongside us. So Jillian, thank you so much. And yeah, everyone, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you, Stephanie.